Oh gosh. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and oh, I've got it all out of order there. But good night. Anyways, wherever you are, man, I'm super bright here. Sun is the sun is facing this way. Let me see if I can find something here. There. Yeah. Sun. Sun's starting to go down. I am done for the evening. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. Let's see here. Okay, so I didn't do too much. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, that's still. Oh well. I'm just in an awkward place where the sun is starting to go down. But I'll try to make this. I always try to make my videos short, but they end up lasting 3 days at a time. But I'm gonna try to make this one pretty short, and I believe that it's gonna be pretty short. But this is gonna be a trucking tip, and this trucking tip is brought to you by me. No. Yeah, this trucking tip. It's about uh, it's about being aware of how much fuel you put on your truck when you have a heavy load. Okay. Um, and this is specifically for when you're close to a weigh scale. Typically, when you're about to cross over into another state, typically there's going to be weigh scales that the DOT operate, and it's usually going to be well, it's almost always going to be close to the state line. Now, whether or not they're open or not, they run on different schedules, so you may or may not get lucky. There are some states that have weigh scales all over the place, but if you have a heavy load and you need to fuel up, I got some suggestions for you. Number one is to always be careful as to how much fuel that you do put on there, in case you have one of these maxed out loads, which is probably like about, I think, I don't know, if you had like 46,000 pounds, it's probably maxing you out there as far as the kind of load that you can carry, because the other 40,000 is the truck, which gives you a max of about 80,000 pounds that you can legally transport on the roadways without a permit. So your truck, you with your truck, trailer, and the goods that you're transporting, all of that cannot exceed over a gross weight of 80,000 pounds without a permit. Now, also, what you have to think about is the amount of weight that's on each of your axles. There are weight limits on your axles, so so you could be under the 80,000 pound gross weight on your truck, but you could be overweight on a particular axle, which all of those, if you're overweight at any point, could land you a ticket from law enforcement, or it could put you out of service, or even both, until you get the problem fixed. Now, if you get caught at the weigh scales and they get you for your weights being out of place, I've heard that sometimes they will allow you to try to work out the weight and get it straight before they hand you a ticket. And there are other times where they will, regardless of whether or not that you go and fix it afterwards, because they caught you, they will just go ahead and write you up, write you up a ticket or put you out of service. In case, but the latter part of it would be the worst, because what if you can't change that load? What if you can't, what if you can't balance the load enough to where you're not going to, to where you're not going to be illegal anymore? Well, you already left the shipper, and if they put you out of service, you can't go nowhere. So that causes a whole nother headache to where, in order for that load to actually get become legal, you may have to coordinate with your company, or even the company that the shipper that loaded the trailer up. You might have to collaborate with them for somebody to come out and try to rework the load where you're at. And if they can't rework the load where you're at, that's going to make the operation so much more hectic, because they would end up having to take off some of that merchandise that's on there. And I'm just saying, this is a worst case scenario. They would end up having to take off some of that merchandise, and maybe might have to transport that portion of it back to their to the shipper. And I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole on that, but that's a hypothetical situation there. But the basic thing is just be aware of what you have as far as the load is concerned, and understand the amount of fuel that you put on there. Diesel fuel typically weighs about it's just a little bit under 8 pounds per gallon. So you can do the math on that, and see how much fuel you can put on, how much the max fuel you can put on for a heavy load. So if you wanted to do that, you can. So it's it's under 8 gallons, but it's over 7 gallons. So just to round it off, you can just say 8 gallons. Excuse me, 8 pounds. 8 pounds per gallon is what diesel weighs. So you can calculate how many gallons of fuel you can put on by using that formula. The other way, which is typically faster, but it could be less accurate, is that you gauge how much fuel you have by looking at your fuel gauge. Go to the weigh station and get or not the weigh station. I'm sorry. Go to the place that has a scale, a truck stop that has a scale, and go get yourself scaled, and look at the gas gauge that you have on. Look at the gas gauge, and then when you go get your weight ticket, you take a look at what you're grossing there, and what your axles are sitting at, and then take that data and look at your fuel gauge there, and see if you have any room to add fuel. So in the case that you're not able to add some fuel, and you might have to drive with a half a tank, and you might have to fill up several times and just fill up to the half tank mark. I've had to do that once or twice. I had a super heavy load, and to where trying to adjust my load with the sliding the tandems and sliding the fifth wheel and all that kind of stuff, I was not able to really get the weights right, because my drive axles were overweight if I added more fuel. So I ended up having to drive with maybe about a half a tank or less, just to stay legal. And so yeah, it's a pain in the ass to have to have to stop regularly and have to fuel up because yeah, driving with a heavy load it does eat up a lot of fuel too. So that's one way of doing it. That's typically how I do it. Is that if I see what I have for weight, if I know that it's going to be 40,000 pounds or heavier, then I will go before I go and fuel up. I will go and take the truck to the truck stop and get it weighed. And if it looks like I have enough room to um, to put some fuel in, like let's say let's just say that let's just say I have like 11,000 on my steer axle, and I have you know uh, 30,000 on my drive, and then 32,000 on the trailer there. I know that I can put a significant amount of fuel on my truck because with 32,000 pounds on the drive there, um, I pretty much can fill up because it's I would still have a couple thousand pounds before I'm overweight on my drives, but I would I would also all that weight would not all transfer to my drive, because of my fuel. Some of it is going to transfer to my steers. So that does give me 2,000 plus pounds to work with. So I should be able to fuel up and be okay. Um, so back to my original thought here was that, just be careful at how you fuel up um, when you're about ready to fuel up at a place close to the state line, or if you're in a state that has um, many many way stations, then you might want to check to see if any of these places are open, see how often they open, because they got patterns on how they operate. So you want to, if you want to try and fuel up and put a full tank of fuel on, just be careful, because if you happen to be overweight, you want to make sure that those scale houses are not open, because at any time that those scale houses are open, you may get guided in there. If they weigh you and you're overweight, that's the jig is up for you. So, like, now these are the weight tickets. These are generally what they look like. This is for the cat scale here. You know, it's kind of difficult to really see all this stuff, but okay, and it's backwards. This thing records backwards, but I just wanted to say that you want to be mindful about how you fuel. It may be beneficial for you. Now, some of you people have the freedom to go and just fuel at at any fuel stop that you please. But there are some people who, like myself. I mean, I have a freedom in the sense of, I have different companies that I can go and stop at. However, not every one of those fuel stops that um, those company locations have. Not every one of those locations I'll be able to fuel at. So that I do have a network of fuel stops that I can go to fuel at. But if at all possible, if you are able to fuel at a fuel stop after the weigh station, whether you wait till you cross into another state, or whether you waiting until you pass the weigh station, that's the best time to go ahead and get your fuel, because that way you don't have to worry about having to pull into the weigh station and stuff like that. But yeah, if you do want to run the risk of fueling up all the way, regardless of what you're weighing, I would take that strategy of waiting until after you've already gone past the weigh station. so that by the time you hit the next fuel, the next way station, you done burnt up a lot of your fuel. So by the time you get to that other way station, you just might well be legal on your tandems. But you just hope that that all your tandems are legal. So that's all I wanted to say. And so that's the trucking tip. And look, I only see that it's 15 minutes. So hey, that's better than 40 minutes of me talking and repeating myself, huh? No. Um, Sometimes things have to be explained over and over again. And so I'm glad this is not one of those. So yeah, this is a little short one. And for those of you who have a short attention span, this is a good one for you. I'm not being mean about that. I'm just saying. So, but I'll think about another tip, and I'll see you on the next one.